harder rock and roll, Back to the Future, all sorts of fun stuff about Huey Lewis in the news. Well, let me tell you something. Our next guest is keeping that harder rock and roll alive right here in Orange County.
Yep.
Want to welcome Roger Langdon to the program. And you are the front man for Huey. Tell us a little bit about the origin of that.
It's a pretty interesting story. So back in 2012, 2013, I've been in bands for many, many years, and I would kind of try to sound like an artist. So if I was doing a cover of a song by Bruce Springsteen, I'd try to sound like
a little more gravelly,
a little bit,
more whatever.
Yeah, kind of a vocal impression. So one person mentioned I kind of sound like Huey Lewis. Another one said I kind of looked like him, maybe not as much as I might today. But so it just kind of morphed into that. We kind of thought, let's do a tribute band, which was becoming a really big thing over the past decade or 2 decades. So it kind of became a thing that just took off for us.
Yeah, and you know, Huey Lewis, it's kind of funny. I remember they had Do You Believe in Love and a couple other hit songs. Then the harder rock and roll came out, and then Back to the Future pretty much at the same time, right? And they just blew up.
Yeah.
They went crazy like in 1985, 84 or so. And it was just nuts. I was in high school at the time. I remember them. You couldn't turn on the radio, and within 10 minutes there was a Huey Lewis song on the radio.
They got about as big as you can get for a good, like you said, a 3 to 4 year period. In '84, everybody owned, you know, the sports album by Huey Lewis and the News. They owned Born in the USA. They owned Thriller.
Right.
And probably Madonna's album. Those were like the albums everybody had. So, yeah, it was the second biggest album in '84, right behind Thriller.
Yeah.
Nobody was going to beat Thriller. So it was a battle for second place, and Huey won that battle.
Sport. That's right, Sport. Well, I remember that now. Yeah, that's the name of that album. And so, when did you first discover Huey Lewis? I mean, were you just a fan coming up along the way?
Yeah, I mean, I was in high school when sports came out and Huey Lewis started and MTV started.
Right.
And they were big with video and really just had fun with the whole thing. They never took themselves super seriously. So right in my wheelhouse, I was prime audience for Huey Lewis and the News.
Now you have a performance coming up here at the Performing Arts Center. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're actually very excited because we're returning. Not to the Performing Arts Center, but to Laguna Woods Village. We played here back in 2019, had a fantastic time. And so we're really excited to be back. It's going to be a great show. Every hit by Huey Lewis the News is going to get heard. If you're a fan, you're going to know all the songs. But we also do a lot of covers because they did in their shows.
Oh, okay.
So even if you're not a huge Huey Lewis fan, you're going to hear songs by other artists that Huey Lewis used to cover as well.
Now you had the opportunity to actually meet Huey Lewis, right? Yeah. Tell me about that story.
Many times. So yeah, it happened actually pretty early on. We were doing shows for maybe a year or two, put some videos out there on YouTube and stuff, and then a wife of one of the founding members of Huey Lewis the News emailed us. And this was only a couple of years in, and I was, she kind of said, do you ever play in Minnesota? Because that's where they lived at that time.
Okay.
And I said, no, but we'd love to come out there. So if you know a venue, let us know. We'll get you a T-shirt, So she emails me within 5 minutes saying, well, I'm actually married to the keyboard player, and they really love what you guys are doing. And that we were way rougher a couple years in than we are now. So we really appreciated it. Since then, we've become friends with them. Her husband, the keyboard player, Sean Hopper, lives in Minnesota. My wife is from Minnesota, so when we visit my wife's family, we visit with them. They came and saw the show just a few months ago in Nashville.
Fun.
And
what's that like, though, being in front of a band member from the original?
It was a total surprise. It was probably better that I didn't know.
Okay.
So I looked down and to the left in the front row, and there he was sitting there, and I said, that looks just like Sean Hopper. And I went, oh, that is Sean Hopper. It was a great show. I asked him after the show, he's seen videos, but he's never seen it live. I said, what'd you think? He said, well, I have stood behind and played behind Huey Lewis for almost 50 years. He goes, you look and sound and move so much like him. It was creepy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So it was a great endorsement. It really just kept us pumped to do this. Now we do it more out of respect and wanting to keep that music alive because we know the guys now.
Right. Well, speaking of live, we have a video. So let's take a look at we're going to take a look at the video real quick and then come back and talk about what it's like being on the stage.
Absolutely.
Don't need money, don't take blame, don't need no credit card.
working for a living. Tell 'em, boys.
That's some pretty good stuff. Not only are you doing the music and you're doing it fantastic, but you're playing the part. You're wearing the outfits people remember from the videos. You're doing his moves up there. I mean, this is a whole. It's not just a vocal impression. It's a body impression, right?
As I said, tributes have really become a thing over the last 10, 15, maybe 20 years, and not knowing the tribute world before, and I just kind of dove in. I never thought not doing it all the way was not an option.
Oh, okay.
So we kind of went, we're going to go all the way. We're going to do a full-on impersonation. And so my frame of reference was the Elvis impersonators. That was I was a kid. And those guys took it serious. Now there was a lot of corny guys.
Yeah,
out
they were
there.
corny, but they were legit. They had the outfits. They were on the stage. They were doing the moves.
Yeah, and when one guy could really nail Elvis's sound and look, that guy became pretty well known. He went to the front of the line there. So we thought that's the way to do it. We need to do this legit. I need to fully go with the outfits, not wear a wig, grow the hair out, get it the color closer to his. And try to be as authentic as we could. Yeah.
Okay, that's amazing. Tell me a little bit about your band. You have some legit guys in there too. It's not just you. I mean, you're doing a great job, but these guys are some performers in the background.
I'm now officially the weakest link in this lineup at this point. So, the band started with a lot of local guys, and after a while, the news spread that there was this really quality tribute band, and what we found out was musicians really like Huey Lewis and the News. And so they're very respected among musicians. They really like the music, and so we started to branch out across the country. A couple of our guys moved to Nashville, and so through their network at that point, the word started to spread more. Our sax player, Steve Nieves, who's been with us for about 8 years now, he plays with Jim Messina on tour of Loggins and Messina. So you could see him right now with Jim Messina on tour. Our keyboard player, when he's not playing with Carrie Underwood in Las Vegas or on tour with Carrie Underwood, plays with us.
Okay.
So we've got some pretty heavyweight guys in that band now. So, and they love doing it. They're just a big fan of playing this music.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, Huey Lewis doesn't tour anymore because Huey had some vocal challenges, some medical things that were going on, and he can't really sing anymore.
It's
right?
actually it was
It was a
ears.
hearing thing, right?
Hearing
His ears?
thing. Yeah,
Okay.
he has what's diagnosed as it's called Meniere's disease. He had lost hearing in one ear back in the 80s, and so he really only had one ear all through his career. And then in 2018, he got diagnosed, and he basically lost the hearing in his other ear. He lost frequencies. He can hear, but he can't sing because he can't hear the pitch, and he can't hear.
He can't find his note.
Exactly.
Right.
So he has very bad days. He has not great days. So yeah, they had to stop touring in 2018. They had been touring for 40 straight years.
Right. It was a nonstop. I remember I'd hear, hey, they're coming to town. They're going to be at the fairgrounds or whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, and so that was a big blow for them as a whole organization. I mean, that was an industry for those guys were an industry and a business, and so the business kind of went away. So we've been really honored to keep the music going.
Yeah, that's what was going to be my next question. What's it like to be kind of carry that on, knowing that they would love to be out there, but they can't do it anymore?
Yeah, that's why I say we've started to. When that happened, and the fact that we got to know them and kind of be friends with them, we really felt, I'm sure we put it on ourselves, they didn't put it on us, but that we kind of want to continue their legacy as much as we possibly can. There's other Huey Lewis tributes. There weren't when we started. There was kind of none. Now there's a few more around the country. Objectively, I'd like to think we're about the best there is. We call ourselves the #1 tribute.
Well, there you go.
One, we've been doing it longer than any other. Two, the band really seems to like what we do, and I think we're doing it very authentically.
Okay. Well, I want to hit it one more time before we go.
Sure.
It's going to be Huey Lewis and the News tribute, Saturday, April 20th at Performing Arts Center, 7:30. It's going to be out there. A great show, as you can see from the videos, folks, and a great front man. Thank you, Roger, for coming in and talking to us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Huey.
Yeah, it's all right. People call me that when I'm at the grocery store. It's totally fine.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks.